We're always trying to figure people out, right? We analyze them. We try to understand what makes them tick, and let's be honest, we judge them. But what if the real key to understanding other people, and maybe even to our own health, isn't about more analysis, but about something, well, something totally different?
It all started with a question. The narrator's grandson came to him and asked this, basically looking for a simple test, a way to figure out who's good and who's not. It's a question we all kind of ask. But the answer he found wasn't in some modern psychology book. Nope, it came from a much, much older and deeper place.
See, this source of wisdom wasn't found in a fancy university or a library. It came from a very unlikely teacher. Not a scholar or a famous psychologist, but a woman from a small village who had this incredible, profound secret for seeing right into a person's soul.
Her name was Tai. She was 80 years old, an oil presser, and had no formal education to speak of. She'd been a widow since she was just 26, and she admitted that for a long time, she was just incredibly bitter, critical of everyone, everything, even God. But then, she made this one powerful decision that completely changed her life and turned her tiny home into a hub for anyone looking for real wisdom.
So what was her secret? It's so simple it's almost hard to believe. Tai's whole philosophy was this: if you truly want to understand people, to see who they really are, your first job, your only job, is to stop criticizing them. She was convinced that the moment you stop looking for flaws, a person's true self just appears. It becomes as clear as an X-ray.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, the narrator and his older, much more cynical brother thought so too. They were kind of tired of her constant positivity and decided, you know what, let's test her. They came up with a trap, a trick question to finally force her to criticize someone.
Their plan was pretty clever, you got to admit. They went to her, put on their most serious faces, and his brother asks the ultimate gotcha question. Tai, tell us, what is Satan like? I mean, come on, surely she has to criticize the literal embodiment of evil. There's just no way around it, right?
And her answer, well, it was just stunning. She just smiled and said, "Oh, bless him. I'm in awe of him. He is so hardworking." She went on, "Whatever job he decides to do, he never leaves it half finished. He always sees it through to the end." In the face of pure evil, she found the virtue of diligence. The brothers just looked at each other. They knew they'd lost. They realized they were in the presence of a totally different kind of university.
So how is that even possible? I mean, really, how could someone see the world that way, finding something good in literally the worst thing imaginable? Well, this next story gives us the perfect metaphor for it. It shows us how our own internal state, our own mind, literally colors everything we see on the outside. So imagine this. A woman is visiting her sister and she's looking out the window. "Look at that," she says. "Our neighbor's laundry is filthy. She has no idea how to wash clothes." The next day, same thing. But on the third day, a wise old woman in the house just quietly takes a wet cloth, wipes down their own dirty window pane, and says, "Now look." And what do you know? The neighbor's clothes were perfectly clean. The dirt was never on the laundry. It was on the window they were looking through.
But look, this idea, it's not just some nice little story or a cute metaphor. For the narrator of this story, this exact principle became a literal matter of life and death. His own personal journey shows how this isn't just about how we see the world, but about actual physical healing. The stakes couldn't have been higher.
He was suffering from these severe, absolutely debilitating stomach ulcers, and he tried everything. The most expensive modern medicines from overseas, nothing. He went through these incredibly painful endoscopic procedures, still nothing worked. The pain was just constant, and the doctors had basically run out of answers for him.
Totally desperate, he went to see a wise man, a Babaji, who was known for healing people with special diets. But the Baba told him, look, that kind of cure, it's going to be expensive, and it'll take a very long time. Instead, he offered a different prescription, a much simpler one. He just said, stop criticizing people. That's it. The narrator was floored. I mean, that was his whole life, his main source of entertainment. What would be left to talk about?
But he did it. He stopped. He said if he got the urge, he'd just read a really critical newspaper column to kind of scratch the itch, but he never said a critical word about anyone himself. And what's amazing is the timeline. By day 11, just 11 days in, his stomach started to feel normal for the first time in years. And within 1 month, 30 days, the ulcers that had resisted the most powerful medicines in the world were just gone.
So this personal miracle, it really points to a much bigger truth that goes way beyond just one person's story. It suggests that our habit of judgment, of always looking for the flaw in other people, isn't just some mental game we play. It carries a real, actual, physical price.
In fact, based on his experience, the narrator claims with total certainty that this simple practice, just refusing to criticize, can cure at least 3 really common, stubborn ailments: stomach ulcers, high blood pressure, and even migraines. Just a mental shift that leads to profound physical healing.
And this is where it gets tricky for us. Because pretty much everything in our modern world, our education, the news, our culture, it all teaches us to do the exact opposite. We're trained to be critical thinkers, right? To analyze, to deconstruct, to find the flaw. We're told that's what being smart is.
So, all of this leaves us with a final, pretty challenging question to think about. In our constant need to analyze, and in our culture that celebrates criticism, are we actually making ourselves smarter and more insightful? Or are we just making ourselves, and the world we see through our own dirty window, sicker?